G'day everybody, Wade Northhausen here for Billboard Battalion. Coming today to you from downtown Echuca in north central Victoria, Australia. Today is Tuesday, the 20th of August 2024, and we're keeping on with our program of bringing you lives from different politicians' offices, just to start to really get people to understand what's happening, what the politicians are doing, or more importantly, what they're not doing. Various questions that they want to know why the politicians are, many of them are selling out our country, are selling out our people. And as it just turns out, Peter Walsh actually here is the leader of the Victorian leader of the National Party, and also the state member for the seat of Murray Plains, which extends from around Echuca right up to Swan Hill. So Peter Walsh is in fact my local member, and I've had an opportunity over the years to have many chats with Peter Walsh and many disagreements. And this stems back to quite a long time, to when I first came across Peter Walsh, and heard the National Party in Victoria talk about many of the issues with irrigation water and farmers, which is where I started to get to know what he was about. And I must say that Peter Walsh, as far as I remember, was one of the leaders of the Victorian Farmers Federation, one of the presidents, and then transitioned from that into a life of politics, which many of them seem to do. And I just recall many of the times when I've been on opposing sides with Peter. We started off actually on the same side when we were talking about the North-South pipeline, which was an irrigation pipeline to take water from the Goulburn River near Yea down to Melbourne for their water supply. The Nationals at that time were not in power, and Plug the Pipe was an organisation that was set up to fight the North-South pipeline under Premier John Brumby. And all through that, the Nationals, said that they supported our farmers, they supported our agriculture, and that so many things had been done with regard to the North-South pipeline that were as dodgy and as corrupt and the whole lot as it gets. And this all started under Victorian Premier Steve Bracks, and then when John Brumby took over under his premiership. So one of the big issues and one of the big red flags that first came to light for me and a lot of the other people in Plug the Pipe was that the Nationals and the coalition in Victoria said if they win the election, and I think it was back 2010, if they win the election, they will hold a royal commission into what was going on with the North-South pipeline and all the water stuff there, which many, many people believed. And what happened was the coalition actually won government in 2010, but guess what happened? Peter Walsh became the water minister, and if I remember correctly, the Minister for Agriculture in Victoria. And I would put it to you that means the Minister for no more agriculture, because for my opinion, Peter Walsh is not in the business of fighting for farmers at all the rural and regional areas. He's in the business of helping to wipe out farming in this area and this rural and regional area, which has been so incredibly strong, such a great area of production and jobs and businesses and wealth and so on. So when we met with Peter Walsh and at the time Paul Weller in Melbourne at Parliament House there, once they won government, we put it to Peter Walsh, right, when are we going to have this Royal Commission into this incredible corruption, into the lies, the deceit, the deception? When was this going to happen? And Peter Walsh absolutely stunned me with the result, with what he said was look, we're not really going to have a royal commission into what happened with the North-South pipeline and all the contracts and all the lies and all the other stuff. He said, look, we're really just going to have an ombudsman's report, which for anybody who knows anything about anything, you are completely wasting your time. Has no power, no nothing. So therefore, I said, well, what's the deal? You know, you promised us a royal commission, and now we have got you into government, and now you're telling us you're not going to have it after promising that you would. And Peter Walsh's reply was, we do not want to have a public bloodletting. So the bottom line is that a public bloodletting is exactly what a royal commission is about. The public need to know what happened, who was corrupt, what contracts were done, who got paid off, what politicians and government officials broke the law. There's a whole range of stuff. So therefore, Peter Walsh lost me right there and then. And I must say that he's done nothing since 2010 that has made me think any different of him. So right now, you know, we're seeing all the stuff around here. We've seen more water being taken through the Murray-Darling Basin Plan, of which Peter Walsh, and it's been made a point to me a number of times, that when the Murray-Darling Basin Plan came along, Peter Walsh was actually the Victorian Water Minister and the first state water minister to sign up to the Murray-Darling Basin Plan. So, you know, in my opinion, Peter is an absolute disgrace. I would not trust him as far as you could throw him, and doesn't seem to like to talk about things that I'm talking about. So we get to now, and Australia is in incredible trouble, particularly because of things like the World Economic Forum, the World Health Organization, and the United Nations. So, in my opinion, they are the three primary international terrorist organisations on the planet. And with everything that they are doing, that is setting up Australia for absolute destruction, is setting up for people to lose their lives, is setting up to see our businesses wiped out, our jobs wiped out, our country being sold down the drain to a bunch of terrorists. Why do we not see people like Peter Walsh or any of our politicians, other than maybe a small handful, all the major parties, why are they not talking about this? Why are they not warning the Australian people about this? Why is it that they appear to be signed up to the very policies that give these international terrorists the ability to destroy our country, our lives, and quite literally to kill people? We're seeing now the moves being made by the World Health Organization criminals. They're talking about some sort of a global pandemic with this bird flu or monkeypox or whatever other crap they come up with. And, you know, we are going down the path of the next global pandemic fraud. It is a complete and utter con. It is designed for nothing more than Nazi-like killers to get injections into people to kill more people. And why are we not hearing any pushback from our politicians like Peter? And, you know, what's with that? So, you know, we're going to make some attempts very soon to start actually having meetings with these politicians, because people are really responding to this kind of stuff that we're doing, and they want us to ask these people questions. They want us to put them under the spotlight for the first time ever, because none of the scumbag, low-life mainstream media do. They're supposed to. That's what they tell you they do. Look at the ABC, for example. Look at the other multinational corporate media that we have in the country. They do not do anything. They give these people an armchair ride. In my opinion, they are in the business of helping the international terrorist organisation to do exactly what they're doing. So don't get me wrong. You know, we've done 2 National Party MPs now. Sam Birrell, the federal member for Nichols over around Shepparton, who is a National Party federal member. And, you know, we've got Peter Walsh here, who's a state National Party MP, who's also the leader of the party here in Victoria. So we are going to look at all kinds of politicians from all different parties. We're not just focusing on Nationals, although I am so disgusted and bitterly disappointed because the Nationals are the ones who have always said they're for grassroots people. They're representing the regions. No, the hell they're not. And we'll talk about Ann Webster again very soon. Ann Webster is the member for Mallee. And, you know, we went to some meetings with Ann Webster about the transmission lines and so on. So we'll also cover that, but we won't do that today because we'll leave that for when we look at Ann Webster's performance, if you like. So we will be covering as many politicians as we can. We'll be calling them out. We'll be holding them to account, and we'll be asking them the questions and putting the spotlight and the pressure on them that, number one, the mainstream media don't. The most important questions that we need to know. How many times have you heard our politicians talk about the World Economic Forum, the World Health Organization, and the United Nations in any kind of a hold them to account format? Nah, nothing like it, remember. Not of our major parties, haven't seen a thing. So this is a part of what we're doing. We're going to make attempts to try and meet with these politicians and have interviews with them. When I last spoke to Sam Birrell, which was here in Echuca actually, I don't know, 6 or 8 months ago, whatever it was. Sam Birrell was quite happy to meet with me until I sort of started saying some of the things. Then he said, "Oh, well, you are, our constituent." Yes, I am. I live here. So anyway, they don't seem to be very happy to talk to anybody when they are being held to account. But I can tell you right now, we look at Sam Birrell the other day, who was attending a Vietnam veterans event. And, you know, when you look at the stuff he put on social media, very little response. And the interview or the live that I did from Sam Birrell's office only last Friday, you know, it's had about 17,000 views. And so therefore, and some great comments. So people are very interested, and they want to know what our politicians are doing, and more importantly, why they're not doing the things that they should be, and why the majority of them, in my opinion, appear to be rolling over and just being somebody who is a lapdog for these international terrorist organisations. So just a little bit of something to consider and think about. And as I said, we will be making attempts to have meetings with these politicians and do some interviews and put the hard questions to them, the real questions, the ones that the likes of the ABC, Channel 7, Channel 9, Channel 10, all the mainstream newspapers, the mainstream Triple M radio, all these people, the sort of questions that it appears to me that they refuse to ask. And you must ask the question, why is that? So that's just something to keep in mind. We need to keep the pressure up, and we need people throughout Australia to start putting the pressure on the politicians, because as I keep saying, when the terrorist organisations come along and they want to attack the Australian people, sadly, whether you believe it or not, the politicians are the ones who put their hands up, they vote for this stuff, and they give them the power to do it. Now, I'm not saying that's all politicians, of course, but the vast majority, yes, it is. The 4 major parties, yes, it is. So also when we look at the likes of the Teals, what are they voting for? When you look at the likes of Jackie Lambie from down in Tasmania, is Jackie Lambie supporting legislation that gives terrorist organisations the power to attack us? When we look into Victoria, when we saw the votes on the Public Health and Wellbeing Amendment Act a couple of years ago, the politicians there, some of these independents, some of these small parties, absolutely atrocious, giving power to the people who want to destroy us. So we are going to be continuing to chase these politicians, and we're going to chase them harder. We're only just starting now. But I think that it's important that these politicians answer questions to the entire population in every electorate, because that is where it's at. They are the ones who vote to give the terrorists the powers that they have got. We're going to see the new attempt to attack Australia again with this either bird flu crap or this imbecilic mpox, monkeypox. We've seen the chief terrorist from the World Health Organization, Tedros, now saying we're going to declare some sort of a pandemic of international. No, they're not. They're preparing an attack. That is solely what that is about. There is no pandemic of mpox, and they call it mpox because everybody was laughing their head off at monkeypox. So these scumbag murderers have to come up with some name that their PR department will have told them is much easier to sell. That's all this is. It's big business, it's public relations. They have companies who tell them how to sell this crap. No different really to what the Nazis had with their propaganda departments, with their public relations departments. So therefore, this is where this is at. And the politicians are the ones who give them the power, and we have to make sure that that's taken off them. We need to hold them to account, and we need to put the pressure on them every day. Well, that's what Billboard Battalion's here to do. Farmer Wade, Billboard Battalion will be on this every day. We are pushing it as hard as we can, and we need to get everybody to hold your politicians to account. We need to get them to be asking them the questions. We need to get them to turn up in the public arena and put pressure on them. And I do not mean physical pressure or violence. I'm just ordinary asking them questions and holding them to account, because they don't like that at all. They really get narky. I've had a fair number of them abuse me over the years because we just asked them the simple questions that matter. So anyway, we'll call it quits at that. So at Wade Northhausen here for Billboard Battalion. We're in downtown Echuca, north central Victoria, Australia. Today is the 20th of August, Tuesday the 20th of August. We're coming to you live outside the offices of Peter Walsh, who is a National Party, I can't, it's just pains me to say representative or member. My God, that's just, that's what a contradiction in terms. Anyway, Peter Walsh, your National Party fearless member who fights every day for our well-being. Oh God, just can't do this. Anyway, that's where we are. That's where it's at. And we're going to bring you more and more every day about holding these politicians to account. We're going to fight on behalf of the Australian people. We're going to fight on behalf of our kids and our futures and our grandkids, because the majority of our politicians are selling them out. They're selling their future out. They are going to cost them everything. They're going to cost our country everything, and they're going to cost them their lives. So Wade Northhausen here in Echuca. Thanks very much for watching, and we'll be back with a lot more as it goes along. A lot more of holding these politicians to account and actually asking the questions that these losers in these mainstream